Hello everyone, how are you going? It's Eric here, and today we're going to talk about the Pokemon Direct. In particular, two new features that kind of blew away my expectations. Now, before we get into that, I have to mention, if I sound a little bit froaky in the croaky, that's a Pokemon pun somehow, it's because I'm sick. I'm down with the sickness at the moment, so we're just going to push on through. Now, I mentioned that this kind of blew away my expectations, and I think it's pretty obvious why. Going into this, most of us here assumed that, well, there just wasn't going to be random Pokemon on the map, and there certainly wasn't going to be a free roaming area. We just thought it was going to be the same linear structure as it's always been. But it turns out there's this wild area where you have free camera control. You can roam the map yourself freely, and there's going to be Pokemon just rolling around this map for you to run into. I love this, and I think to me it's a big deal. You see, I grew up on random encounters. I don't hate random encounters, but when I'm talking about taking Pokemon to the next evolution, the kind of next step for the series, I think this is where it goes moving forward. I think they go to more of a free roaming area, more with Pokemon everywhere for you to explore. Mind you, what we're looking at in this game seems to be what they call it an area. It's not multiple areas, it's an area. It could be a really big area. In fact, it seems to be like the middle of the map and span multiple kind of zones or areas that you would think of. So I'm sure it's going to be quite big, but it's not going to be every area in the game. In fact, I think most other areas, and from what we've seen in the trailer beforehand, they're going to still be random encounters. Now, we can't give all the credit to Sword and Shield. You see, Pokemon Let's Go, despite its linear zones, did actually do this before Sword and Shield. The only thing here is that I found Pokemon Let's Go implementation of this to be just kind of static. Or another way that I could put this would be to say that it just felt a little bit lifeless. I don't know whether it's Pokemon Let's Go's just linear zones or it's fixed camera angle, or perhaps just the way the trailer was done in the new Pokemon, but it feels a lot less lifeless. It feels like the Pokemon there have meaning. And for the first time since like Pokemon Red and Blue, when my young brain couldn't imagine what graphics would look like in the future, well, this kind of looks like and feels like a real world to be in. It kind of takes me to the same places a game like Xenoblade does. Nothing on the level of Xenoblade. Xenoblade is amazing, and that's the reason it's one of my favorite games. And if you guys know me, you know that's one of the things that I love the most about games is the way they build their world. But for once in, like, as I said, years and years, I get that feeling from this game, and that's one of the reasons that I'm just so excited to jump into this one. My history with Pokemon is very much a backseat approach. I may throw money at every game because I don't know, there's something wrong with me, I just can't stop buying Pokemon games, but I certainly don't play much more than a little bit before I just drop off. And to be honest, it's been a long time since I've been just really excited for a Pokemon game, but seeing this, it did stuff to me that I hadn't felt in a long time from Pokemon. That wasn't meant to sound creepy, but it kind of did. Also, the funnies are gone from this video. I think when I'm sick, the funnies just get sapped out of my voice. I don't know where they go, but they're gone. There's a lot of things that kind of appeal to me about this world design and even stand out, but I think the things that in particular that do this to me are one, the verticality. Generally, with the fixed camera angle of Pokemon, it's very hard to get a sense of scale, but with this seeing into the horizon makes a huge difference. And speaking of seeing into the horizon, we also get to see towns and cities and just lots of other stuff going on in the background, which just adds to that sense of world building and place in this world. And then you add into that weather and Pokemon running around, and you get a little bit of the idea of why I'm saying this world, it doesn't feel lifeless, it feels like a world. Mind you, it's not perfect, the environments do feel very bare, but I'm willing to forgive that at the moment just simply because, well, they could be hiding stuff from us that they don't want to show yet, as well as maybe they haven't implemented stuff around the world, more stuff that we can interact with, like we've seen them shaking the trees. I do hope they have a lot of stuff to do around this kind of open area, not just find Pokemon, but like shake the trees and maybe find collectibles, find Pokeballs, hidden stuff like that. That's kind of what made Breath of the Wild so special. As you're exploring that map, you're just finding little Korok seeds. Maybe you'd find a weapon hidden up somewhere else so you could chop down a Pokemon. That's not happening, but you know what I mean? Like scatter stuff around that world. I think that is what would make that world feel more complete. Mind you, I'm just talking about one open area of that world, but this is what makes a difference to me, and it's what got me excited for this in the first place. The last thing that I do want to mention here with the areas is something that actually leads us into the Dynamax feature, and that was this 4-player mode that they had. For the first time in Pokemon, 4 players can actually connect together into the same game. Now, they didn't mention whether this could be played on the map. There is one point here where it kind of looks like they can. You see 2 players moving, one who comes in from the side and the other one who's just running in. But what I think makes sense here is because they have this big and open world for you to be exploring, you just party up with 4 players and run around this map and then find these giant Pokemon nodes that you see on the ground and then attempt the battle with the players that you're already on the map with. There are so many questions surrounding this that I don't want to get into, such as will we even be able to do that in the first place? How will the connection work? Can we even pair up with friends, or is this like randoms only? What are they doing about trolling? way too many questions. Now, Dynamaxing. We did just mention the raid battle side of things, and we're going to get into that in a second. But what Dynamaxing is, first of all, is basically turning your Pokemon giant. You can do it for 3 turns before they will go back down to normal size. And while they're in this giant size, they're going to have a bunch of powered up attacks. Now, these max raid battles that I mentioned are like random encounters, except they're not so random because you can see the nodes on the map, and then when you go into them, you're going to verse one of these giant Pokemon that never really come out of that form, but you need 4 other players, or 3 other players technically, to take them on. Now, in the direct, they did mention a couple more things here, such as you have a chance to catch this Pokemon. So my question walking away from that was, well, what's that chance of actually catching it in the first place? And how many chances do we get? They also said that some of these Pokemon can only be caught after you've done that raid battle. So then, what does that actually say about these Dynamax Pokemon? If I go catch one of these, does that just mean that I can turn that normal form of that Pokemon into the Dynamax form then? Well, if I catch a Dynamax form, do I have the normal form automatically, or do I still have to go find that, and then I can turn that one into the Dynamax? As you can see, there's still just a lot of questions behind this. The one thing I am glad about here is that your party can actually have computer-controlled allies. In other words, you don't need to have or find strangers around the internet or friends around the internet to be able to do this with. And I think that's important, especially since they're literally locking some Pokemon behind this Dynamax feature. Or if you just don't want to deal with griefing, or perhaps you just have to play the game offline, like you maybe in a place that doesn't have internet, catching a bus or whatever. You can't use it, then you can still do these battles. Now, as far as my opinion on the Dynamax feature, I like it. I think it's a decent feature. Pokemon likes to kind of bring these new features in every now and then, every single game apparently, a new feature for you to play around with, and I think this is one of their better ones. The one thing that kind of draws me back from it is the look. I just don't enjoy the look of this at all. I think it kind of looks like the final boss battle from like every RPG ever. Let's throw a vortex in the sky and make everything purple and glowy. But all it does is kind of make me go, ugh, it's a bit garish. Just make giant Pokemon. I think I would prefer that more. Now I think I'm in a predicament. You see, there's already Mario Maker, then there's like Link's Awakening, and there's Luigi's Mansion, and so many other games that I'm already excited for this year. I guess Pokemon and to a lesser extent Animal Crossing was kind of my games that I was sitting back and taking a back chair and going, oh, you know what, maybe I don't need to sink a lot of hours into these, and that'll free up some time to play some of these other games. And now that I've seen Pokemon, I'm like, oh, I have to play this. It looks fantastic, and so like, I'm really excited for it now. But also, there's no time for all these games this year. There's so many games. And I'm a little bit worried about Animal Crossing because I haven't played one before. And if they show something impressive here, my time is, I don't know where I'm going to get for that because that's the big game. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll try to find a time machine or something like that. There was obviously more stuff that I didn't actually talk about here. I just kind of wanted to focus on these 2 main elements that really impressed me. But there's some other things like I don't know, the 2 good boy dogs. They were good. I don't know. I didn't really love the names, but the dogs are good. The good boys. Or possibly ladies. Or Nat has just informed me that legendaries apparently don't normally have a gender, so that's also possible. What about X and Y? Nat just informed me she didn't get that far in it. And then they also said at the end there's a 2-pack of games, so you can just buy both the games together. And since me and Nat buy both games all the time anyway, we'll probably buy that pack. Although I do hope they throw something extra in there. I mean, we spent money on the 2 games. I hope it's not just not... You got a different piece of cardboard. Like, give me something special for doing that. And that is going to do it for this Frokey Croaky episode of Eric Speaks Pokemon. If you enjoyed what happened here, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, be much appreciated. And remember, for great Nintendo entertainment, you can count on me. For today's end screen, E3 is coming up super duper fast, and I just thought I'd mention that I don't actually have a plan. This is my first E3 doing this stuff, so I don't really have a plan for it yet. I've been thinking about it non-stop, but I just don't know what to do, so I'll just update you when that happens, and I just thought I'd let you know that I don't know. That's a good update. Yeah, goodbye.